Hi there. How do you customize your wedding planning package so you get and only pay for the items that you need out of your wedding planning? Well, we have today Natasha at Tailored Memories that will tell you exactly how you can do that. Hi, this is Jillian with DC Weddings with Jillian. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. This is Jillian again with DC Weddings with Jillian, and I have the pleasure of having with me Natasha Ettienne-Johnson, and Natasha's company is Tailored Memories. Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Julian. Nice to meet you.
And the same here. It's a pleasure to see you and to talk all about tailored memories. And so we've been chatting before, and I am very intrigued. I'm just going to jump right into it and say, tailored memories. Tell me what that should mean for me and for the brides, the couples listening.
Sure. So, Tailored Memories is a full service event planning company that I started a couple years ago. And I specialize in full planning, day of coordination, as well as partial planning for couples in the DC, Metro DC area. And what I really specialize in is offering clients that one-to-one attention. I work with a team, myself and other day of coordinators, and we provide exceptional service where we work with you to really understand what you're looking for, your vision, and really get to some of those pain points that you're experiencing in your wedding planning. And where we come in is to help you navigate and put you at ease. So that's what really differentiates my company from other companies, is that we can tailor whatever needs that you're looking for and making sure that you have a memorable event.
That sounds wonderful. But now I know my couples. I'm part of a couple coming to you, tailored memories, but I really don't know what I want. How do you pull it out of me? What techniques do you use, or how can you tell me how do you get from just an idea that's floating around my head to an actual event that I can remember for decades to come?
Sure. So I really start off by really getting to know you, and I start off with a consultation. So before I work with any clients, it's a 30-minute consultation that's complimentary. And usually that sometimes go a little bit beyond 30 minutes, but it's an opportunity for me to get to know you. I start off with really just knowing the couple before we even talk about weddings. Just tell me a little bit about you, what you like, how did you meet, what kind of engagement did you have? What kind of proposal you had? Speak to me a little bit about your family dynamics. And I really get to a sense of the couple and both the bride and groom. And then we speak more about their vision and what like they're really excited about and what they like. And then what are some things you don't like? What do you see your wedding looking like? And then I'll talk about my organization, my company, and what services I feel that would be best suited for them. And I have three standard packages, primarily focusing on day of coordination and partial planning, but I do offer full planning as requested. But with those three packages, they're all customizable. So I have worked with some couples that wanted day of coordination that is more like less hand holding. They're more doing a lot of the planning, and I'm coming in closer to the wedding. But they're like, I really need help with finding a venue, but I can't pay for like a full planner. So that's where I could customize the package, where I can add on the venue service and I could still do the day of coordination, and I'll help them secure their venue. And then we'll pick things back up closer to their wedding. So I'm very flexible, and I just really listen to my clients and hear what they're saying, and then just help them meet them where they are essentially, and provide them with the best service and package that will meet their needs.
Fantastic. That sounds like your listening skills are exemplary, in order to get there. So
Mhm.
let's dig in a little bit to that partial or day of planning. I want people to understand what each of those are and how they differ. And more importantly, I know it's very easy for us to say what we are going to do,
Mhm.
What should they be doing? What things, if you're doing partial or day of, what is it that the couple should have done already or once they hire you before you come on for that and get your hands dirty at the very end? Tell us a
Sure.
little about that.
Awesome. So I'll start off by describing what each package entails. And the partial planning package really starts 6 to 8 months prior to the wedding date. And that's for couples that have done some planning. Maybe they already found their venue, they booked one or two vendors, but they're not done. They need help with really navigating different vendors and really making their vision come to life. So, what that includes is starting on board, working with them, and figuring out which vendors they need help securing. And I provide them with recommendations. And that's a pretty intensive process on my end, I would say, because I spend a lot of time really identifying like what their budget is, what style they like, color theme, and really working with. I have a lot of vendors that I've worked with in the past that I will tailor their particular style and look and feel to vendors that I feel will be best suited for their wedding. So that takes a little bit of planning on my end, and I provide them with recommendations, normally 3 to 5 to start. And normally I don't have to go back to the drawing board and do any more. They'll normally pick one of those vendors to work with, and that could include us setting up a separate call with the vendor. I'll be on the call. I'll let them kind of facilitate and get to know that vendor, and then they'll decide if they would like to move forward with the vendor or if they want to do a call with another vendor. So that's a little bit of an intricate process. What else the partial planning package includes is helping them with defining their guest list and seating chart, putting together a detailed floor plan, a detailed timeline, constant communication with all the vendors, and being on site for their wedding for 8 hours or more, depending on the length and duration of their wedding. I also provide all my brides with like a emergency kit just in case they need it, but some essential items in there. Hopefully they don't. I have myself in 1 to 2 other day of coordinators, depending on the size of the wedding and the logistics of the wedding. Like if it's all at one place or if ceremonies at one location, receptions at another location. So that's the partial package. And the day of coordination package is very similar, except the time that we're spending together is less. I usually work clients that's 6 weeks out before their wedding, and I do still provide the consultation. I'll do a site visit and also a final walkthrough, a rehearsal. I also would do the seating chart and floor plan and provide them with the bridal emergency kit. But I'm only working with them a month and a half before. So this is for couples that really have done all pretty much most of the planning, have found most of their vendors. I provide them with only two vendors. And sorry, for the partial package, I provide them with four vendors support.
I see. So, if I hear you correctly, if I take you on for your partial planning, you're coming in a whole lot earlier, 6 months or so,
6 to 8.
but you're supporting me with all of my meetings with my vendors and so on. So let's say I have a meeting with you with my photographer
Mhm.
and I making decisions and stuff that you know are going to either present a problem for the photographer or take too long for the guest to wait or whatever you identify that you know that
Mhm.
this wouldn't work. What's
Mhm.
your role there with me as a partial planner? You know, I'm still going to make the selection, but are
Mhm.
you giving me advice? Are you there with me in terms of making that selection and the ins and outs of that? Tell me about that.
Yes. So I do help all my clients with the vendor selection. So the difference is that with partial planning, I'm just more involved because I'm helping them with more than two vendors. So it's four vendors, which covers almost most of your vendors if you found the venue already. But what I'll do to help them navigate once they made that selection, say with the photography, is that we'll speak kind of through what their vision is. Are you thinking about doing a first look? Are you both getting ready at the same location? Are you having like your mom involved? So I kind of get to learn a little bit more about what they envision the day to look like, how is it going to work, also including like family dynamics. And then I kind of map out a plan, and I have a template that I use and I customize it based on the clientele. I have a photography like shot list that I use from different weddings. It's just a standard of certain shots, but then I work with them to kind of decide on which particular shots they want, if there's anything they want to add or subtract. So I get a foundation and basis first. And then once they have the meeting, we're going to the meeting with the photographer, providing them with some information. And if it's a photographer that I have used in the past, then it just depends. Some photographers don't like shot lists. Some of them like to kind of just have their creative free range and do what they like. So I kind of work with based on the needs and like parameters of the photographer, but I do provide that service to all my clients because it kind of gives them something to start with.
Fantastic. I heard so much in there. Listeners, please listen up to this as Natasha talks here, because these are things that you as the couple are not thinking about at the time, even when you are getting your own vendor. So here's one thing that Natasha mentioned that I know is a big deal with all vendors. Natasha may be working with a photographer that does not like a list of a shot list, wants to be a more creative. Now, that's not a problem. But if we have then Natasha just saying, well, you better do this list and get these 50 shots and nothing else, then you're not giving your photographer the ability to do their best work. And so now you have a coordinator that can bridge between you and the photographer. So you don't have to get into that back and forth with your photographer and still get the one thing that you're going to leave your wedding with beside your spouse, your photographs. You know, there are so many intricacies like that with each vendor that you're not necessarily thinking about when you hire the vendor. And whatever was the criteria you used to hire the vendor, then your partial coordinator like Natasha has to take it to the actuality of getting those photographs that you want. And so this is really good that you said that, Natasha, because I think I know I hear it, but I know what goes in on the background, because I get, as the caterer in this space, I'm doing my work, but I get to see the stuff that's happening with all the other vendors and the running around. So I know that that's a real thing. What do you mean I got this list? Let me do my thing. I know what the bride and groom want. Yes. And so that's really very good. It's like taking the pressure off of the couple. Fantastic. Love it. I hope you guys have been listening to Natasha here. She's dropping some gems. Very, very good. And so now, as I heard, we were talking about the partial and what we get with the partial, and the fact that you would help with more vendors than you would with the day of. So for those who are doing just the day of, give me a sense, if you can think through, what are all the things, wouldn't be all, but what are some of the major things that they should have done already by the time they get to you, or even after they've hired you, that they still need to continue doing before you actually jump in and put your expertise to it?
Sure. One of the most important things is that they already have the venue, because that, I know it sounds really cliche, but it's like once you have the venue, things just kind of fall into place. But all the clients that I've worked with the day of coronation, they have the venue, because when I'm coming on board, it's 6 weeks out. So your wedding's in like 45 days. So the venue, all vendors are crucial, but they have their core like vendors in place. So their caterer is most likely probably in place at that point. Their photography is in place, videography, and DJ. They may need hair and makeup, which is also critical and important, but it's easier finding like a hair and makeup artist a few weeks out versus finding like a photographer if you're really particular for looking for a certain look and feel. They will have a sense of kind of the flow of their day, just certain parameters as far as, you know, ceremony start time, end time, and then I'll fill in the gaps and work a full detailed timeline. But those are some of the things that they have. They have their wedding party established, like the location where they're going to meet. And then I come together day one, like we'll have a planning meeting and I just jump right in and understand where they are, what hasn't been done. And I put those pieces together from a logistical standpoint.
Fantastic. So we've heard, other than the full service package, which obviously is you just take over, relax, get your job done, go on vacation. I've got you. But then the partial and the day of that, our couples are going to do more of the work where you would come and sort of bring it in together at the last minute. So I know in either of those two, the partial or the day of, there are a whole host of things that
Mhm.
happen at the last minute in the last few weeks. Like, guess who didn't RSVP suddenly saying, "Oh, when I see you next few weeks," well, what do you mean? You're not on, you didn't get your RSVP. So suddenly things are changing, floor plans are changing. There are so many things that happen in the very end on things that you couldn't plan for before. So
Yeah,
give us some sense of, you know what? I'm going to put you on the spot.
sure.
You can tell us a story of something that came up at the last minute that really was, something that should have been thought through and done months before, but that
Mhm.
at the last minute came in and to threaten the whole thing, but you were able to pull it out of a hat.
Sure. So I had a wedding during COVID, actually. It was a micro wedding. It was about 30 guests, both sides of the family, and a few friends. They still had a wedding party, five bridesmaids, five groomsmen. This was actually in Leesburg. And actually, what happened, we had the seating chart done. So I like to map everything out when I'm working. This was a day of coordination bride. So I worked with her 6 weeks prior to her wedding. And at the 2 week to 10-day mark, I normally send out an email to all the vendors with the floor plan, with the timeline, logistical information, parking, loading dock information, my contact information, day of coordinator information. So all of that went out 10 days prior to the wedding. And we had all the seating charts and everything mapped out, place cards, and I had this little dietary sticker so the catering staff was aware of the meals. And on the day of the wedding, at the rehearsal, actually, so the father was an hour and a half late for the rehearsal. Both dads were an hour and a half late. So we had to wait. Rehearsal ended late. They had a rehearsal dinner afterwards. They went to that. So they had a later night. And I had collected all of the place cards and I had put the stickers on there. And they also had, I think, like a seating chart too. And next day got to the venue and the sister of the bride let me know. She said, "Oh, we have some people that we moved to a different table." And I said, "Okay, not a problem." I was like, "Let me know the information." So I went to FedEx. I reprinted out the seating chart, got a new frame, redid the place card, put the stickers on it, and nobody would have known that happened behind the scenes. But you just have to plan for the unexpected, and you just never know what can happen. Something is going to happen. And the most important thing is just to keep the bride and groom at ease, calm. And I said, "Don't worry about it. I got it under control." And I've done a few weddings in Leesburg before, so I was familiar with the area, but I always just research the area of where I'm going if it is an area that I'm not familiar with. And just in case for things like that, I always make sure, if there's a Kinko's nearby or FedEx or CVS. But I literally went to FedEx like that morning and reprinted it, went to Michael's, got a frame, and she was like, "Oh, my card box. My mom forgot the card box too." And I said, "Don't worry." Picked up a card box, went back to the venue, and everything worked out beautifully.
Fantastic. It's interesting. And again, couples the night before the rehearsal dinner, somebody says, "Well, I prefer to sit with so and so." And
Mhm,
suddenly everything changes and you don't realize how many pieces have to change because
mhm,
not only did you have to run out and get stickers and so on, the caterer or the culinary staff now
mhm.
needed to know where everybody
Yes.
sitting differently in the room so that they could
Mhm.
deliver the right meals if it were a plated meal and so on. So it's
Yeah.
a mushrooming effect that affects a lot of the vendors simply
Mhm.
because this person decided, "Oh, I want to sit with this family over here."
Yeah.
And so rather than saying, "Okay, you know what, we in the one space, it's just 30 of us, we're going to all be in the same space, it's okay." It's like, no,
Yeah.
let's shuffle, let's shuffle around the morning of. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, we've had that. And talking about casing the area,
Mhm.
we case the area for liquor.
Mhm.
We come in fully stocked, but you don't know. You may find that the guests are only drinking vodka. and you
Mhm.
have all of this other brown liquor there that they haven't touched, and now your vodka is running low. I need to know where I can run and get some vodka at the
Yeah.
last minute. Yes. So yes, sweet case areas is
Mhm.
very interesting. Very nice. So, I put you on the spot with that question because I know in our industry, we get so many of these. We have them rolling off the tongue,
Yeah.
in terms of the last minute things that happen that you just have to be quick on your feet.
Yeah.
And I know from working with a lot of coordinators that there's a whole lot of skills that you need to have. But
Yeah.
one of the things is to make quick decisions,
Yeah.
quick decisions that you can see how it will affect everybody around that that's planning, and change it, do it quickly,
Mhm.
make it look like nothing ever happened.
Yes.
So I heard you did that. I just heard you with that
Yeah.
story tell exactly that. And that's what I want people to hear,
Mhm.
is that there's so much more that you have to think through
Mhm.
in hiring someone that can do this and take your
Mhm.
event to the level that you want it to.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh, Natasha, the time has gone very quickly. I think we could continue talking here for a long time.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Indeed. So before we go, tell our couples, they're listening. Now their ears are perked up because you gave them some gems. So
Mhm.
tell them about one reason, other than the fact that you're tailoring, customizing, and getting just what they need. Tell
Mhm.
them one reason why, Natasha. Why do you need me, Natasha, on your team to get your event done?
Mhm. Sure. So I would say I am just a very graceful person. I work well under pressure, but I compose myself very well and I really love weddings. Like I just love weddings. I love love. I love all the intricacies. I love all the details and I am very easy to work with and I have a extensive amount of experience doing weddings and working in corporate event planning and I just really have a passion for taking something and making it extraordinary, making it something really great and memorable that you can remember for the rest of your lives. So I'm really excited to work with more couples in the DMV area. And I have a very versatile and diverse background. So I've worked with a lot of different types of brides, a lot of different types of couples, and just different venues. So what makes me different is just being able to meet people where they are and really understand and work really closely with them and make sure that their vision comes to life.
Very good. Oh my goodness. Your composure and your experience comes through. So thank you
Mhm.
so much.
Thank you.
Well, folks, this has been Natasha Ettienne-Johnson of Tailored Memories. We have been so blessed to have you, Natasha, and
Thank
I'll see you
you.
at a wedding soon.
Yes, yes.
Okay, pleasure to have met you here and introducing you to our couples listening today. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much, Julian.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.